Are you thinking of moving to an HOA but scared to have another person in your life telling you what you can and can't do? Have you heard stories from Uncle Lenny about HOAs and how they ruined his life? Have HOAs made you lie awake at night and wanting to sleep with one eye open? Well, you're not alone. I know exactly how you feel, and quite frankly, I've been there before. In this video, I'm gonna squash some misconceptions and show you the pros, but also talk about the cons of an HOA, because let's be real, right? And I guarantee at the end of this video, you'll be pleasantly surprised and hopefully have a little more information going into your next purchase. So stay tuned. Hey, it's Ryan Meeks, and you're watching the Escape to Arizona YouTube channel. I specialize in relocation and educating clients on the differences in the ways of life here in AZ from the East Coast, Midwest, and the West Coast. So if you could subscribe and please reach out if you have any questions. My info's below. And I have a useful relocation packet that has 48 pages of information, which is in the first comment below. And stick around all the way to the end because I have a real useful tip on how to figure out if your HOA is awesome or if it's a dud before you even move into it. And also let me know in the comments below after this video whether you still think living in an HOA is awesome or if it's a huge mistake. I look forward to reading those, as do many viewers here. So what's an HOA? According to a reliable internet source, a homeowners association is an organization in a subdivision, planned community, or condominium building that makes and enforces rules for the properties and its residents. So those who purchase property within an HOA's jurisdiction automatically become members, and they're required to pay dues, which are known as HOA fees. Honestly, that doesn't sound too cool. I mean, people telling you what to do almost sounds like those people telling us we need a face. Many people do not want to live in an HOA. It's human nature. I didn't when I moved to Arizona from Chicago, and I get you probably don't want to either. Arizona has a ton of new construction, and unless you're looking at a home from a custom builder that builds 1 or 2 homes at a time, you're gonna probably be purchasing within an HOA. On a positive note, the HOA has one goal, and that goal is to maintain the value of the property or increase the value of the properties within it. So while you may think they aren't on your side, they are, usually, unless, well. So let's talk about it. The first con of an HOA is they dictate what your exterior looks like. If you're someone that doesn't like to take care of their lawn, leaves trash or toys outside the home, or parks your car in the grass, you might have some issues. An HOA even dictates what color you can paint your house. Yes, they have color schemes you need to choose from to once again maintain the cohesiveness of the community. You may also need to get approval before doing any exterior modifications such as putting in pavers, replacing landscaping, or changing your front door or garage door colors. My personal HOA even has a specific tree species that they require us to have on our property. Crazy, I know. Another thing is that it's kind of a bummer, even though we have an RV gate, we can't have any trailers or boats or RVs showing above the gate line. Very odd, but that's the rules. I got around it actually by digging 2 large holes in the ground for my trailer wheels, and yes, I guess I'm a bit of a rebel. I've received a few warnings, but our HOA is pretty lenient when it comes to actually finding someone. Usually they'll give you a few warnings, and if you disobey those warnings, you get a few more, and then within a certain amount of time, you'll eventually get fined. On the flip side to that is your community is gonna look great. If you have someone that's enforcing the rules to keep the community looking great, it's a benefit in my book. And if some neighbor doesn't cut their grass or has 10 cars parked in a 3-car driveway, you can politely tell on them without having to have that awkward neighborly confrontation that we always try to avoid.
They can't tell it's us. They don't know it's us. Could have been anyone. Any one of these people could have called.
I don't think I get called.
Anyone would. Oh shit, oh shit.
But I know some of you probably like having those confrontations. I know my dad does. One of the other biggest cons to living in an HOA is that you obviously have monthly assessments, and those are typically paid quarterly. Now these fees go into the reserves and then back into the community. They help to pay for parks, landscaping, pools if you have pools in your HOA, or any other common area maintenance that's going to be required. Most HOAs in Arizona are fiscally responsible, and it's a nice change coming from Illinois. One good thing to check before moving to your HOA is the amount that it has in the reserves. Our HOA has $1 to $2 million in reserves. Another con to purchasing in an HOA and why you may want to avoid it here in Arizona is that HOAs typically don't let you rent your home in a short-term lease. And by that, I mean less than 30 days. So if you're trying to invest in a home and run it as an Airbnb, maybe when you're not here, you may want to look at a non-HOA community. Even if your HOA currently allows short-term rentals, that could change instantly if it goes on the ballot to a vote. On the plus side, if you're the one living next to an Airbnb, I would imagine that could be a little annoying. Footnote, even though there are communities that don't allow Airbnbs, I see them still being rented in the short term. So my guess is that you'll be okay until someone complains. A benefit though is if your neighbor's renting a home, they still have to have it live up to the expectations of the HOA rules. They still need the lawn to be cut, they still need to keep the home looking nice, and they still need to present it in a neat and orderly fashion to keep with the cohesiveness of the community. Now, the last con of an HOA is it does have a board of directors, and those directors are residents within the community. These board members may not always have your best interests in mind, or they could have ulterior motives. It's not easy to tell this when looking to purchase in an HOA, so one smart thing to do is read the meeting minutes, very similar to a board meeting at your local city hall. Also look at the amount in reserves, like I said before, and take a walk around the community. See how it looks, see how it feels. If you see the common area is in disrepair, you may want to skip over that HOA. When deciding to move here, we actually chose our community over another community because it looked a lot better than the previous community.
Bonus, you stuck around to the end.
How can you avoid purchasing in an HOA that is, for lack of a better term, crappy? One thing I recommend you do is go on Facebook and search for the neighborhood you're looking to purchase in. Join the group and number one, ask everyone's opinion, or two, do a search that has HOA in it, or three, just scroll through and read the comments. There's one community I belong to in Gilbert where the HOA is just out of hand and you can definitely see it in the comments on the Facebook forum. I believe it's one of those instances where the board members don't have the residents' best interests in mind, and quite frankly, they are wasting money. If you're interested in knowing which HOA that is, shoot me an email or a text. I'd be happy to share it with you. You can go join the group and make that decision whether or not you want to purchase in that community yourself. Hey, thanks for watching. For more videos on escaping to Arizona, just click that subscribe button to stay in the loop.